Welcome back, everyone, to our fifth episode of the Here Now community channel. Today we have our fourth guest joining us from Montreal, Canada. Our guest today has been, for almost 4 years now, one of my best pals. He's an individual driven by passion, humor, positivity, putting himself in the service of others always. His name is Jordane Munger, and he's a relatively young entrepreneur back in Canada. Welcome to our show, Jordane, and thanks so much for accepting this invitation, man.
Thanks for making me feel slightly old, just a tiny bit. Welcome in the 30s mode. Yeah,
it's more it's more wisdom. The statement was more wisdom focused rather than just aging.
I told you not to talk about that. My therapist told me don't focus about your age and all that. No, you're just making it worse. No, it's fine.
I mean, you're already old, so yeah.
That's it. Well, I would watch out for everyone else as well that's listening. I'm only 30. Don't insult your people.
Oh, yes. I'm sorry. You're 30. I don't know why I thought you were 40.
Now you're digging yourself a nice graveyard. That's fine. Continue like this.
So how's going on with you, man?
Except trying to do that first intro of your podcast for the past hour without laughing or no internet connection.
Right.
Life here in Canada has been pretty stable. We've heard some news about a virus somewhere. We've not been touched really. No, I'm kidding. We've been touched like everyone else. It's been crazy here. And I've been working in tourism for the past 10 years now and in hospitality. And I never felt more insecure in my entire life about the future of what's going to happen. And I never felt or knew that it could be this way. I went to hotel management and business and tourism because I felt that I wanted to have some sense of security. In the end,
right.
That's the only kind of industry in my mind that would never die. It was as strong and that it would live like a hospital. There will always be tourism. There will always be hospitals or funeral homes and stuff like that. It will always be there. I didn't mean this in a bad way.
I'm sorry if our chat is escalating a little bit. The coronavirus has multiple effects also on mental health, so beware. Yeah, please go on.
But yeah, so that sense of security has never been more, I would say, shaped in its core. And a lot of hotels right now are closed. The tourism has never been so low. Right now, we have hotels with not even 2% of occupation, 3%. It's a drop that's never been seen. In Canada, we're talking about probably the worst economic ever, I would say, event that would ever happen in our entire life's country, which is not that long, 400 years old, compared to what's happening you on the other side. We're pretty young here. We're pretty young. But yeah, so in these times, we try to find new solution. We try to find stuff to do because waiting at home is not really my forte.
So what are you doing now?
Well, for the past 15, 20 years, I was a hobbyist as a photographer. I always loved it, but never thought I could make a living out of it. And now I feel more than ever that I was like, okay, here's how I can do it. And maybe I should try to jump in the pool of trying to make it as maybe a source of income to survive. At first, it was the idea of surviving. It was the idea of bringing a plan B to the equation of my life instead of just having my plan A, which is my main job, trying to bring that out. And who knows what's going to happen? But for now, it works pretty well. And with the job I have, because I'm fortunate to still have a job in my industry, I'm in charge of the social media and the sales of the hotel company I'm working for 3 beautiful small hotels. And I'm producing their content. They never had some content, the photos and the videos. And it's fun. And at the same time, I'm building myself a nice portfolio for my future business. So it's just the perfect match at the right time.
That's great for you, man. I mean, I'm really happy for you. Finally, you're doing it after 15 years, right?
Yeah, correct. Better late than never, like they say.
Well, sometimes it can be too late if you reach a certain age, but,
But even that, you're still fixing the. Do you have an age problem? Don't age? Don't shame age.
I do
people.
believe in age. I'm sorry. I'm just like not a believer.
It's never too late. It's never too late. And
It's
in
very
fact,
interesting that most elderlies, tell themselves that.
Yes.
That is never too late. Yeah.
You're right. There's that sense of performance that comes, that we tell people, if you're not young, you're not performing, which is so wrong. It's not really the reality.
That's actually very interesting, because you have like people of, let's say, our age, who basically live their life, let's say, 200% high performers, extremely active,
Yeah.
whatever. And then you have the other side, which are basically like the elderlies in the 30s, or late 20s.
You're right, and something that happened to
and the other way around to the like the people that are 50 or 60, you also like have the other side of the coin.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think there's a part of Westerners, or people from America and Europe mainly, that we don't value as much age. We try to, you see it with the makeup industry, you see it with the sports industry. It's all about keeping us young, and the older you grow, the less appealing you are for technically society, which is so wrong in itself. And if you go in the eastern part of the world, if you go to Asia and other parts of the world, growing old is something valuable, because it comes with life's lessons. It comes with knowledge, and the wisdom part is so important. Let's be honest. You can have as much knowledge as you want. You can do whatever, no matter what you have in you in your 20s or your 30s. Wisdom takes years. It takes event. It takes problems. It takes challenges. You need to overcome emotion and stuff like that. And these can only happen when you hit a certain age, which brings you some life experience that cannot be done before that. But, I don't know if you heard about that, and you can tell me if you heard about it, but some people, during the pandemic and the fact that we were all stuck at home, a lot of people were saying, if you're not doing something at home, if you're not learning something new, you're lost your time.
Haven't we
Have
talked
you heard
about it before?
Maybe.
I have a feeling we talked about it before, but go on, yeah.
So, and why are we pushing ourselves, even in the time of pandemic? I was surprised, even when it's a pandemic, we should be, all together as one. And we feel that we still put pressure on ourselves, as you should be performing. You don't have a job, you're at home, but you still have to perform. If you don't learn something new, you didn't use your time right. And I was wondering, how did we get it so wrong? How we can appreciate the fact that, okay, you know what? Life is on hold for a moment. And take that time for you. And if for yourself, it's fine for reading books and binge watching a TV series that you've been postponing for a while, well, it's fine. You don't have to come out from this whole COVID-19 event with something new on the table. You don't have to. It can be, for some people that I know, they were craving for vacation. A lot of people that I'm working with here in Canada, they were just looking for their next vacation. They were so stressed out. They were working 50, 60 hours a week. And the only thing they were talking, when we were not talking about job, was vacation and time off. And it finally happened. For a few of us, I'm sure it's been helpful. It's a great way to restore it, to bring back, to charge those batteries back a little bit. Hopefully. I don't know for you.
No, right.
Did it charge your batteries?
I completely agree with you. And I will just tell a small story that I remember from a sort of like a lecture of Alan Watts that I was listening to a few days ago. He was saying something like this. So, in the beginning of the ages, God was making up a dictionary of all words that will be used in language. One day, he visited the archives of Gabriel, and he left the dictionary in the taxi. While he was talking to Gabriel, the devil got into a taxi and wrote in a dictionary 2 words, ought and should. And I want to make this as a parallel to what you just said, that even in a time of pandemic, we don't know how to stop, or to understand that, sometimes it's okay to stop. And there's nothing wrong about that, stopping is fine. Stopping, can build a better start. You know, you cannot just start. I mean, this pandemic is taken so leniently in a way that so many people go crazy. Okay, I should learn this, I should learn that, I should learn that. I myself had these moments when I was thinking to myself, okay, maybe I should do a course, maybe I should do that, maybe I should do that. Maybe, you know, I have plenty of time now to do that. And then I thought to myself, but you know, wait a second. Let's use this thing differently. Let's just every day, let's put like one thing on paper, like one idea every single day for 2 weeks. And basically after 2 weeks I had like a list of ideas that I wanted to do, and I realized that I was actually building up one single idea, one bigger idea, you know? And then this podcast happened. I actually like just stopped. I was like, no, I refuse to do what others say that would be, you know, appropriate to do. For instance, taking a course or working or studying. I don't know. I don't care. I don't want it. Why would I want it? Everybody that is pushing these concepts in front in the society. All these people are basically, in my opinion, fully business focused. Fully, let's say, revenue focused. Or whatever else.
The focus on
and
the return on investment. The idea of if you do this, it has to bring back money.
Exactly, but that's the thing. That's the thing with life. Life doesn't necessarily need. If you appreciate a tree, it doesn't mean that life should give you a present for that. You know, no, you're there and you're appreciating the tree. That's the present itself. That moment when you're appreciating the tree. So basically, what I recommend and why I also did myself is just stopping. You know, this period of time, like everybody's going like mentally, everybody's going a bit down because we were not ready for this. We never experienced this before, at least in our generations. So we basically have to deal with it one way or another.
Yeah, and our generation, you and I, the millennials, the Z, we are the ones that actually are suffering the most. We're the ones that are actually out of jobs the most right now because we have the least experience in most jobs. So we're the most expendables at this moment right now to face that crisis. So it's certainly not going to be easy. Certainly not. But you're absolutely right. But there's one thing. There was a phrase. I don't remember why. I think it was an ad for cereal in Canada on TV. Okay. Yeah, there was an ad for cereals, and I really liked what they did. They said, why not instead of saying one day, just switch it to day one. And I love the idea of saying, you know, step in something that you think you want to do and make it happen. And it has to start with one step, right? A single step. It doesn't have to be meaningful. It doesn't have to be meaningful. There was a guy an author that I really like, Simon Sinek, that you probably heard about it.
Yeah.
And it was saying in one of his TED Talks, it was saying, you know, when you start training and you start doing some physical training to get in shape, you go for the first day and you look at yourself back in the mirror after half an hour. You look the same. You do this the second day, you look the same. The third day, you do this for 2 weeks in a row, and you will still probably look the same. But the only thing that will be sure is that one day you will be in shape. If you commit yourself 20 minutes 3 times a week to do some physical activities, you will eventually be in shape. But it's a meaningless action that that gives you something bigger, like brushing your teeth in the morning. It is so meaningless to brush your teeth twice a day, but it prevents your teeth to fall out and back to the medieval age. It's just this idea of doing something that's meaningless. But in a time like us, like this, it feels that we have to do meaningful things every single time, and the result have to be right now.
Exactly. And that's the problem, because we cannot replicate this. We cannot generate this. Meaningful moments happen. We don't necessarily always make them happen. We make them happen for each other, but we don't make them happen for ourselves because we can't.
And then with social media, we see people that we follow, that we admire, or people that we like. And, he has a great career. I want to do something right now that will make my career great. It's just a single thing every day, and you will reach that point. It didn't happen maybe, I see the body shape of that person. I want to be in shape like this person. It doesn't happen in after a day. It doesn't happen after a month. It happens after years. And it's not about doing always like what's best for the return on investment. It's about consistency. But yeah, so it's all about being able to do it and replicate something that's not really meaningful by itself. But when you combine it, it's the whole idea of, if you want, there's a French way that my father was saying, a French phrase he was saying, if you want to eat an elephant, you cannot go with just a spoon. You have to go one bite at a time. You cannot take the whole thing down in one go. It will have to take some time. It will take some effort, and some days will be harder than others. Yeah, that's what my father used to say. Anyway, I don't know if your father was using those kinds of weird, and I don't know why my father was saying this, because we don't even have elephant. We have nothing close to elephant.
That was what was actually concerning me. You guys you're the planet. So you're the country with least elephants on Earth.
We're the continent with least elephant. If I recall, we have absolutely a population of 0 in the wildlife. It's probably in a couple of zoos.
But even in zoos, that's what I mean. I believe that you guys have the lowest number.
Well, that's for sure. But there's probably a few. Probably.
I mean, there's one at the White House. I'm not sure about that one.
Oh,
but it's free, right?
That's another kind of Trump. No, that's another kind of Trump.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
You're confused. That's fine.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's it. Oh my God. It is crazy. What's happening down there is absolutely madness. Really, it's a shame, because we're the neighbors of that, and
you're the opposite.
Yes,
politically speaking, I believe you guys are the opposite.
We're far from him, but we're not that far from the United States in general. You know, the North America, we're similar, but at the same time in a lot of ways, but we're different in a lot of ways. But we do share a few things in common. We don't only share the longest border for any country. We have the longest border that any country has with anyone else. It is kind of crazy what's happening down there. And even if stuff happens down there in a way that could be reprehensible, unfortunately on our side, even our prime minister most of the time has to stay really politically correct, because they're so strong economically. For example, right now, 60% of the people that were tourists in Montreal were from the United States. It is incredibly big number of people that are not here. So no matter what happens, no matter if you agree with the policies or not, they are still essential to our economy. And the fact that Canadians are not participating to their economy is a tiny slice in their business and their economy. Compared to us, they matter way much more. They are so much more important. So, and we're just 36 million people here compared to the 360 millions that they have. So they're 10 times bigger in terms of population. So that's a sign of scale that most people don't understand until they came here. A lot of friends of mine that were coming from Europe, we're coming to Montreal, we want to see Niagara Falls, and we might go to the northern part of Canada and see that rock that has an hole. And I was like, you're not doing this in a day. Yeah, I'm sure it's like, 3-4 hours of riding? No, it's like 14, 15.
A day, yeah. I mean, Niagara Falls is so far away from Montreal anyhow,
It's 6 hours and a half from here. And everything is far away. My parents' home are 6.5 hours away from here. So I see them a couple times a year, but, I lose a day. And that 6 hours is mostly when it's beautiful summer day. When it's winter and it's a blizzard, it takes more like 7-8 hours to drive a little bit slower and all that. And I remember when I was in the Netherlands with you, we go somewhere and, we're there in 20 minutes. That's nothing. Like, why did I brought lunch? Like, I didn't have to download the playlist of music. I don't know why I did that.
Yeah, it's like 5 songs and you're there.
Yeah. Well, just the province where we are, Quebec, we can fit 2.5 times France.
2.5 times, man.
We're just a state. We're a province out of Canada. So yeah, and I'm not even talking about the Netherlands. That would be ridiculous because the whole country can fit in one of our giant lakes. So we have 3 big lakes here, and we can take the whole country of the Netherlands and fit it in our lakes.
In the lakes.
In the lakes of Canada. It's just so. And you don't see the 3 giant lakes that are at the southern part that we share with the United States. When you're next to it, you don't see the other side. You feel that it's like the ocean. It really feels like, is there really something else on the other side? We call it a lake, but it could be we should have a term like mini ocean. It should be a thing. Yeah, mini ocean. Hey, did you cross the mini ocean? It should be a word. It should be a thing.
Right.
It should bring back more stuff like that. Because between an ocean, you have lake, but nothing in the middle. Like what separates, like even the Mediterranean? Is it really an ocean? Is it a river?
It's a sea.
Oh yeah, there's the word sea. You're right.
You don't have many seas in North America, so that's fine, you know. I mean, you guys have only oceans, lakes, and rivers.
There you go, and a couple moose, and no elephant.
No elephants, yeah, yeah. But tell me, what are you working on your company now? Because you told me about your company that you're working on that.
Yeah, well, I'm mostly working on the idea of. I was wondering, you know, what can I do on my scale, alone, by myself, that could be meaningful to me and to the people around me. And I'm trying to have that focus on trying to give to small businesses that do not have tons of money to put marketing and content production in hand. And I just want to try to help them out to shape it up and to produce their content for, I would say, a more affordable way. And it gives me at the same time that I would say that open-mindedness of, you know what, try your best because we don't have time for this. So we'll just take whatever you want to do for us and we'll try. I'm trying to fit their story into what I do because I've been influenced by the cinema since my youth. I was always watching movies and I love how, you know, the whole idea, no matter how much you like a movie, yep. I always love the fact that there's a story behind it. And I feel that sometimes you watch an ad or you watch something, a commercial, and there's no story. Yeah, this is the brand new Peugeot 380 made for life on the road. You know, those kinds of, it's just boring. It doesn't bring you something. Bring me a story. Bring me something to listen to. I want to, even if you can create a story for 30 seconds. It's possible. You can. So I've been working on that, and I'm trying to, at this moment, to build a portfolio that's meaningful for future clients with the business I have right now. So I'm building a website, and it's all very new. And then, you know, registered yourself to the government, the taxes, like right now doing my books, like keeping track of what I'm spending for my equipment and stuff like that. At first, I was not doing it, and now I have to do it. I was like, yeah, I have that bunch of receipts somewhere spread out everywhere, but it's a business. I should keep all track of them. So here I am keeping track of receipts and stuff. It's unmeaningful. It's not fun at all. But
how does it make you feel?
Good. Makes me feel good. It gives me a reason to wake up in the morning.
Are you still married?
Yeah, I'm still married.
Okay,
no,
okay, just checking.
Yeah.
Just checking.
Yeah, of course, my wife gives me a reason to wake up every morning. That's for sure. But there was also that idea of having something.
A second reason.
You know, it's not a really second reason. It's just a different part of yourself. You know, it's like your family, your friends are one big part. And then you have the career and the work that you do. And there are just two things that need to live in parallel to each other. But yeah, I think that having that reason to go to work, if you're going to spend 40 to 50 hours a week on something like work, it should be meaningful to you. It should be. Otherwise, it's just a shame that you spend so much time. You're going to spend much more work at work than at home. So why not doing something that's meaningful, or at least with people that you care, or for people that you care? So most of the time we say this, and it's so easier to say that when you don't have debts, a family, children. Like, I'm lucky enough, I'm 30. I don't have a house. I have my school debts. I don't have a house to pay, a mortgage, or a ton of debt. So, but I know it's not the case for everyone. Some people will have, for example, they want to go back to school. They might not have a family member to go stay. If you want to go back to school, and you still have a rent to pay, right. It's fine until you cannot pay that rent. So I don't want to preach for having the single reason, because my reality is not everyone's reality. So, and I'm conscious of that. I'm highly conscious. But on your side as well, stuff has been moving, because you as well, my friend, have been doing changes in your day-to-day life.
Well, I kind of like decided that I want to put my skills to work more evidently than I have so far. So basically take care of myself, both professionally and personally, differently than I have so far. So basically for now, I'm just focusing on the podcast and coaching. So I have the coaching website basically that supports this podcast, and basically that's one thing that I really wanted to do, is to bring other people, bring other minds together and share some knowledge, And I think that's beautiful and meaningful, and everybody likes stories in the end, Everybody wants to hear a story. Everybody, as you said as well, it brings meaning. So I want to bring meaning to the people, especially that I do try myself to bring meaning to others through coaching. I think an additional, completely free tool, such as a podcast, would be and is a fantastic way to get there, So I've been taking care of this so far. I'm happy that I made the change. It wasn't easy, but it just happened. I don't know. It was just a moment, like a few months ago, when I was like, okay, I think enough is enough. I'm done. Closed off the chapter with working for others, and then I was like, okay, let's start this. I mean, I haven't, let's say, studied this and worked in this field individually, independently, for nothing, so far. So
yeah,
and it makes much more sense, as you said as well. It brings more joy. It gives me more reason, when I wake up in the morning,
Yeah.
It gives you, it actually, what I realized, and perhaps is most important, is that it gives you a sense of creativity that you won't be able to access until you take that step and assume that risk of working independently, because then you're sort of forcing yourself to be creative.
Mm-hmm.
And even though, for example, if you like something already, or if you're passionate about something already, it forces your creativity even further. Let's make this even more practical, more specific, more tangible, more accessible, more meaningful. So then you start thinking, and every day you just start to work on that. So that's how the past months have been for me.
Well, here's the question that probably everyone that would love to know, that some people that are probably listening to us might have an idea of something that they would like to do. But here's the thing, financially, how can I pay everything, my bills, if I lose everything? How has it been for you, that journey? Because we never talk about that stuff enough.
That's a really good question. Good question. Yeah.
What should I do? For example, me, I started my business, but I didn't have any equipment. I mostly had sold everything for my photos and videos. So I took a loan. I went to the bank with my mask and I took a loan. And I said, I want to start a business and I'm going to try this out. And it has to work now because I have to pay for it. But at the same time, I cannot live on it yet. So I have to keep my other job. So that means I will work more. So that 40 hours a week will be mostly maybe a 60 to 70 hours a week.
Okay.
That's a sacrifice I have to make.
Okay.
I converted time to make more, to still have that financial liberty.
Mm-hmm.
But for a lot of people, it's probably a big stress. I would love to start being my own boss.
It is. And for example, if I look back, for example, in my life, I would say that I don't know. I had a thing for learning new things. I was always a curious kid, so I was always interested in learning something new, going to try different things that are most often were completely different from each other. So, for example, from studying hospitality management and basically like business school, going to, let's say, nuclear weapons conferences and all sorts of things like this.
You
Like,
went to nuclear conferences, weaponry?
yeah, I went to the UN in 2000. I went to the UN in 2018. It was like a change your world model
Oh,
United
okay.
Nation.
Okay, from the UN. Thanks a lot. No, it's just important to put a context out of that. Like, yeah, I went to that place for nuclear weapon.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
I'm
Yes, that's right.
really
That's
into
right.
a nuclear weapon
No,
at this time. It was sponsored by North Korea, that kind of event.
Yeah, no, I completely get it. Yeah, thanks for rectifying that. By the way, no, really.
Well, thanks for breaking context.
Right.
It's about context now.
Yeah, it was basically a conference in New York at the United Nations, and it was basically the topic was nuclear weapons and safeguards in Iran. I enjoyed, let's say, thinking about very different things. So, for instance, as I said, from writing books to being a chef to
Well, you just said it. You went to hospitality school and nuclear weapon conference. I think that says it all. We understand
exactly.
the concept
I
here.
get exactly.
You can't give us much exception.
Like, my life is a contrast. It's been a contrast all these years, and this actually
It's not a
allowed
contrast.
me.
It's a mess.
You see, that's actually one thing that I love that you said it, because you and I, of course, we may see it as a mess.
Of course
But
we are.
if I look closer to it, I would say to absolutely everyone who would ask me, okay, how can I how can I become how can I become independent quicker and be on my own?
Yeah.
I would say start learning skills from a young age. Just be curious, try things out, exhaust any ideas that you have on your mind that you think you'd be passionate about. Try them out, try that out, So go in all directions possible.
So what you're saying is that if you're too old, it's too late? Because you said
I'm
young.
just saying, because you said you addressed this question to our audience.
Yeah.
So I'm basically, let's say, speaking to the audience, saying that start as soon, even like doesn't matter, just as soon as possible, but like start with the things that actually mean something to you or you believe that would add value to your life. And by starting those things, you get to realize, okay, this is for me, maybe this is not for me. I will try that later. I will try this now. Try as many things as possible. Do not be afraid of trying, because when you get to try 50 things within 3 years, I'm a little bit exaggerating right now, but when you get to try these things in a very short amount of time, you realize, man, the world is so big and I am so small. And at that moment, you start basically observing and looking back, thinking, okay, I've tried that, I tried that. What else is to try? Well, I don't know what it is, but this is what I want to do. So at that moment, it's going to be very easy for you to pick. Mm-hmm. Because you have different tastes. You know the flavors already of different fields. Okay, I would like to go in, I don't know, in agriculture or gardening or painting, these are mostly professions that don't necessarily generate a decent amount of money. However, try them out. See your triggers. See what brings value to you, like you do as well. It's like doing that, for example, and doing as a sort of like you prepare your company, you build up your company as a side job. Yeah. Whereas basically your side job is the side job. What you are doing is exactly this. Because, okay, you ask me, okay, what can I do to become more independent? I would say, okay, if you have some skills, for example, like knowledge of how to make a website, put that on the list. That's very valuable. Everybody needs a website. Having a website is having, like, existing, basically. It's like a Facebook for companies. So you need it. Then you have
content creation. It's like a suit for an interview.
Exactly. So you have content creation. You have copywriting. You have so many things. So many things that, let's say, that are so small. They're so, let's say, modern skills that anybody, let's say, would be able to do if they would be curious to try them out. I don't know. I was curious to try them out. I tried out also like Photoshop, Illustrator, the entire Adobe package. You know, I tried it out, and like now I can do like very basic things that I need to for myself, and
Yeah, you
for
don't
others
need to
as well.
master. You don't
You
need to
don't
master them.
Thank you for mentioning this. You don't need, if you try things, don't aim to master them. Aim to enjoy them and get, let's say, the essence of that thing. Because you won't be able to master it in such a short time.
No.
But with the time that you invest in that specific activity, that time with the time that you invest in another activity and another activity, that time it builds a certain perspective for your life. You know, not say for a business or for whatever, for your life itself.
And like anything that you're learning, that you're, for example, starting something new that you want to learn, anything there will actually, the growth of the learning will be really quick at the beginning and will start slow down by the end. And that's when actually I wouldn't say you're optimizing, but you're actually tweaking. And
Right.
and
That's
then
true.
you're learning the slight difference. But at the beginning, for example, I was learning how to do video editing from scratch. And every single day, I was learning something new. Every single video, I was like, okay, how do I do this? And I went on Google, how to do this, how to do that. And then I was like, oh, I know now. I know now. And of course,
Exactly.
at one point, you will probably learn 75% of what you should, and the rest would be really slow. Will take more. It doesn't go at the same pace all the time. It will slow down eventually, and that
Depending
part
on
doesn't
the
mean
activity as well, you know.
correct. But it doesn't mean. But it's the same. For example, if you just go to the gym. At the beginning, you will lose a lot of weight. You will start seeing a lot of progress. But at one point, you will hit, I would say, a peak. You will hit a plateau where it will be stable and you will be tweaking. So the progress will not be as significant. And for a lot of people, the fact that the progress speed change is a matter of, it's not for me anymore. No, it's just that you need to push again. But it's the same about love and a couple. At the beginning, it's a fire. It's really strong, and it turns to be something completely different, which is more about the comfort and the warmth, and there's some emotion that are way deeper than the fire of the beginning. Doesn't mean it's not there. It's just in a different shape, in a different form. But for a lot of us, a lot of friends of mine, they had a girlfriend or a boyfriend for 1 year or 2 years, and once that flame was different and they were starting to get into that comfort zone, getting into that couple, that real couple, are more about, it's not about just the physical traits, it's all about the emotional, the spiritual, the fact that the trust that you build, the bond that you're creating. And a bond doesn't sound exciting, but this is what it is. This is what you're signing up for. So, and this is where a lot of people that I know, when they reach that phase that they feel that change, they let go. They're like, no, it's not for me. It must be wrong. I can't do this anymore. I'm not at the same speed as I was, which is a shame, because you should be actually embracing the change. You should be embracing the fact that the speed is changing to another form, which is more sustainable for the long run.
If you would see it mainly as a lifelong learning journey, we would, let's say, do it with more ease, because we don't have a deadline for that. I mean, we have death obviously as a deadline, but like it's in our minds, you know, we tend to see death as something that is far away. In my case, at least. In your case, I don't know, but you can see something as no, I'm kidding, but it's something that you can see like far away. So seeing every activity and putting every activity. I was talking to somebody, I think a couple episodes ago or something like this. I was talking to Charles about this, and Charles was saying, I've always tried to implement skills from my personal life into my professional, and from my professional into my personal, so I can become, let's say, undivided. You know, because
a more well-rounded individual.
Exactly, because most of the times it happens that we are, let's say, one person at work, one person at home, and having these multiple facets doesn't necessarily help anyone, especially yourself and your growth and your learning and everything else you're doing ever. So basically, having and seeing, for example, life as a long journey full of learnings, despite their types of activity.
Yeah.
Despite their types of activity that through which they're generated. Having that and doing things just for learning and for passion. Learn and passion and learn. Having these two things, to go with you on this journey, will never leave you alone. Will always be there for you. Will always pull you out. You will always have something to eat. But you basically have to be curious if you want to learn something. You cannot learn if you're not curious. So, and this is the advantage of young people. We, for example, tend to be more curious than the elderly, for instance.
Yeah. Well, the elderlies, when we were talking about elderlies and wisdom.
Yeah.
The one thing that you learn when you start aging is that life is not a sprint, it's a marathon. And you cannot win a marathon if you're sprinting all the way till the end. You will not reach it if you're just sprinting. If you want to do a marathon.
Oh, yeah, I got you.
You gotta find a pace that fits you. It's not about the others.
Right.
Some people run faster. Some people walk. It's about finding your rhythm and your speed that will get you there in your time, in your way.
And if I may add something, by finding your rhythm.
Yep.
Or would it be fair to say that what you imply is try out and figure out? So basically, don't estimate your rhythm, live it. Like go completely high one day and go completely, let's say, just don't do anything the second day, and see where basically your average or your best rhythm can be found within that scale.
Look, absolutely. The postman from my village in my hometown, he knew that he could do the entire run of everyone's mail in a day. But this came with 10 years of try of doing a little bit more, adding that street to his run, adding that street. I can do, and it's about tweaking. It's about sometimes you take a little bit too much on your shoulders. Sometimes you take not enough, and you feel that you could have taken more.
Right.
And it's like those days when you feel that, I could have done more. I could have done a little bit more. I could have spent more time. And some days you feel that I had already too much on my end. And now you have to understand where the line. It's not a fine line. It's mostly you're like a ball. You're going to hit a wall, the left wall, the right wall, all the time. And one day it will be smoother. One day you will even prevent yourself to hit that wall because you know already where you're heading to.
Right.
And I think that's the wisdom. The real wisdom is to know that the wall is coming.
And the wall is there, basically.
It's there. You know exactly what's your limit. You could push it. You can push your limit. But the fact is, you will not sustain it. That's for sure. You have two lines in which you should drive. You can go a little bit over or a little bit under, but you will never sustain it. And you have to find your speed without comparing yourself to others, which is so hard in these times. Social media always shows us the best of everyone, and that's the part where you have to understand. For example, there is always someone on vacation. Like if you feel that you need vacation and you go on your Instagram, if you have 400 or 500 people on your Instagram, that's for sure that there is someone that will be on vacation, posting vacation. And then you feel that everybody is on vacation. No, it's just one person out of their year. But of course, next week, it's someone else's vacation. Then it's someone else's vacation. And then someone else. So you feel that the entire world is on vacation, but not you.
Right.
Which breaks your perspective. It breaks, and then it creates a sense of jealousy. You feel that you're not, that you should have this yourself. That it just creates a false perspective of what life is really. And that's why even myself, I've started to go less on social media. I even decided, at the beginning of this year, easier said than done, I'm not reading comments on Facebook because comments are stupid most of the time. Here's the thing. If you want to see that you think that people are on vacation all the time, look at your people around you. Look at the real human beings. Look at your family members and all that. They're not on vacation all the time. That's the reality, is that we live through a weird reality. And then you have that phone that's always with you. And it's there in the morning when you wake up. So after your dreams, you wake up, you look at your phone and your feed. You look at your phone at lunch, you look at your phone at the end of the day. How does that mess up your perspective? At the end of the day, when you think about it, it does certainly mess you up. And like I said, it's not because you do it once, but it's because of the consistency of doing it every day, 3 times a day, 7 days a week, all year long. That's where I think the hurt is. Or at the end, if you don't realize it, now I've become to realize it, is that those small things can actually, in the end, produce something bigger than we anticipated. And then it becomes the new normality, the new world that you live in.
Jordane, thank you so much once again for coming over today and for sharing your beautiful stories, man. You've been a brother and an undoubtedly great support to me in these years, and allow me to share my gratitude towards you for everything you've done for me this time. Especially considering the way we met and the way I got to sleep in your house after being stranded.
Well, I appreciate your gratitude, but I'll send you my bill at the end of the month. So
that's fantastic. That's a great example, to if you want to become independent and be an entrepreneur. That's a great way to start, I believe. Charge your friends' bills for support. Yeah,
it's another way of love money.
Right. So thank you again, man.
Take care.
And ladies and gentlemen, this was your host, Dragos. I would like to thank you for tuning in today. Next time, we'll be talking to another Dutch local. He is a brewer, former Michelin chef, that currently works at Hotel School The Hague, coaching future chefs of the industry in mindset, emotional intelligence, and teamwork, aside obviously from culinary skills. His work is solely based on educating the young and making them curious of the beauty of living. Stay tuned, and if you've enjoyed this podcast, feel free to give us feedback, subscribe, and follow. Till next time, stay here and now. Goodbye.